Jesus said that He would have come to this earth to die for just one person. Our evangelistic efforts can impact one person and through them so many others. Listen as Scott and Debbie Sy tell their experience.
I came into the church as a result of a brochure that was put in my mailbox, and it had those beasts on it. And I had already been familiar. I was a Baptist, so I was already familiar with my Bible, and I just wanted to see what they had to say about Revelation. So they had a meeting with Leighton Holly, and I went every night for 26 nights, and I knew they were wrong. I knew they were wrong, so every night I'd take my 4 Bibles and I'd lay them out. This was before computers came around. And I would look at every verse and examine. I had a concordance, and I would go through and I would examine each area to see if what they were teaching was true. And at the end of 26 weeks, since I couldn't disprove them, I decided I may as well join them.
Well, that's Scott's story. I didn't know Scott at the time, but I was in a dark spot in my life when I also received a brochure in the mail, but when I saw the beast on it, I threw it in the garbage. But a dear friend of mine that had introduced me to vegetarianism and was a really good friend of mine, she came to me a week later with the same brochure, and she said, "Would you be interested in going to these meetings? I'd be happy to go with you." At which time the word yes just quickly came out of my mouth, which wasn't a normal thing. I always thought about it first. And I attended a Revelation seminar in Michigan and was convinced that the Bible had all the truth in it, and that I would find a church that followed those truths. And as a result, I became baptized in 1986.
Once I joined the Adventist Church, I wanted to be involved in some kind of a ministry, and the ones that I wanted to be in didn't seem to work out. So somebody told me about this group called Pathfinders, and I thought, well, you know what? I love working with kids. I think I'll go check that out. So I went and I checked it out. I fell in love with Pathfinders. And that was before the first camporee, the one that was in Colorado. So I joined that group, and I stayed with Pathfinders for 30 years, and I've been to every camporee that's ever been except this past one in Wisconsin. But we have really enjoyed, my wife and I have really enjoyed working with the youth in Pathfinders.
Before I met Scott, I enjoyed teaching Sabbath school. I enjoyed the primary students. That was an extension of what I was already doing as a teacher. I continued, I loved teaching. And then when we got married, he introduced me to Pathfinders. I didn't even know about it, and I had never been camping before. And so because we both shared a love for youth, it was a beautiful ministry that we could do together. And so that's how I became involved in Pathfinders. We were counselors at first, and then later Scott became the director of the club, and then we transferred to another church and began a Pathfinder club in Michigan. And our goal when we came to Tennessee was to start a Pathfinder club in Newport. But there weren't any children when we came, until about 2 months after we moved here. A family moved in with a 10-year-old, and we said, there's our first Pathfinder. And from there, the club started to grow, and from there, the church started to grow. And we were involved in Pathfinders up until just recently.
Scott and Debbie have served in many ministry roles after joining the church and being baptized in the Michigan Conference. Then when they moved here to the Georgia-Cumberland Conference, their ministry and service continued on, serving as deacon, deaconess, Sabbath school leaders, Pathfinder leaders. They even purchased a van and transported students back and forth from the Newport church to the Greenville Adventist Academy. Just think of the impact that one person has when they're won to Christ on so many other lives. Your legacy gift for evangelism can do so much to reach others and help us prepare to see Jesus coming in the clouds of glory. Grateful Living Trust Services is glad to assist you in the joy of making that legacy gift and impacting our world for Jesus Christ.